Hello everybody and welcome back to the United Stand. On today's show, will Manchester United win the Semenyo race? There has been more news coming out from Sky Sports about how Liverpool could enter at the last minute and swoop Semenyo out of Manchester City or Manchester United's hands. They're the two frontrunners at the moment, according to David Ornstein and Ben Jacobs, Manchester United and Manchester City. But with Alexander Isak's injury, it is suspected that Liverpool could come back into the race, and will they win it? There's some updates on that I want to get into. How much do Manchester United need Semenyo in January, and how will this affect a Zirkzee departure? There could be a new bid coming in from Roma as that transfer is heating up. There's new news to bring into that, and his future really does depend on if we bring Semenyo in. Bruno Fernandes absolutely gutted that it looks like he's going to be out for a significant portion of time for his standards at Manchester United. I've got his injury record to get into, and I actually have a theory about why he's maybe got this injury when he hasn't been injured throughout his senior career. Is he actually not playing enough? I know that sounds really strange, but Bruno Fernandes' body is used to playing twice a week, constantly. Now suddenly he's got a soft tissue injury at 31. Is it just getting older? What is happened here, and how do we kind of go about this? How does this affect Man Utd's transfer? And also, could there be a glimmer of hope that Manchester United could actually go as bold as getting Baleba in the January transfer window? Baleba wouldn't actually even be my choice, and I wouldn't be absolutely over the moon if we did sign him. But there's been a little bit of news coming out around Baleba at Brighton and how there is a possibility he could go in January. It's not a big one, but could Manchester United make that move? Could they make that summer move early due to Bruno Fernandes' injury? Could that force them into making that move, especially with Kobbie Mainoo's future uncertain? Also got a little bit more to get into as well. I really want to talk about how important it is that we sign a centre-back. And, of course, I'm going to get into just general Manchester United chat, a little bit about Amorim, a little bit about Martinez. I really want to kind of get into it as we are in the busiest period that Manchester United are going to face this season. The festive period is super busy for us. We don't have European football, sadly, and I think that is hindering us. I really do think that is hindering us. And we are without a lot of players. How are we going to muddle through? Are people going to blame Amorim for this? Are you still not having that win percentage that he's got? I want you to get interactive. I want to get your comments in. And this is actually my last show before Christmas. So let's make it a good one. In the Christmas spirit. Get Christmassy in the comments. Ask any that's a tongue twister. Ask any Christmas questions you want to get in. Fire away. Let's get interactive. Thank you very much, everyone, for getting involved in the show. Are you off for Christmas now? What are you doing with this week over Christmas? Let me know your plans. Get interactive. Whereabouts in the world are you watching from? Anyway, let me get into the first thing that I've put down on my list to get through to talk about on today's show. And it's about how ambitious Manchester United are going to be in the January transfer window. So, this is what Ruben Amorim had to say about the January transfer window. He said, "What we cannot do is reach January and try to do everything with urgency and make mistakes again and be left saying, 'Here we go again.' We are going to continue with our plan. The club comes first." And now, me and Goldbridge were talking about this a little bit, and Goldbridge was really frustrated with it. He said, we should be being ambitious in January. Why is the manager talking like, a Glazer would talk? Why are we, kind of making excuses as to why we won't be spending money? And I kind of get that. As an ambitious manager, you want the biggest squad you can get. You want, as long as it's got quality, and I think that's what Amorim's trying to get at, you want depth and quality. You always want more players. You always want more options. However, I kind of do get on board with the fact that I don't think we should sign players just for the sake of it. We shouldn't just be signing someone for the sake of it and then be sat here this time next year and saying, should we have signed him or should we have waited for the right profile, the right player? Because let me cast your minds back to last January. And again, I really don't want to individualise United's inconsistent performances on any individual player. When Dorgu plays, we can lose. When he doesn't play, we can lose. I'm not individualising it, but here's an example of a recent January transfer. We signed Dorgu in January as our left wing-back solution. A year later, I think 99% of Manchester United fans would argue we need a left wing-back. It wasn't a long-term fix. It was a fix that we could get in the January transfer window, but in the long run, is Patrick Dorgu going to be Ruben Amorim's first choice left wing back for the future of this club and this team? No, he's not. We went for it in January because we really needed a left wing back. There was pressure on getting a left wing back. And I was saying at the time, we have to sign a left back. We have to sign a left wing back. But when you're left with little option in a January transfer window, has the amount of work and scouting gone into it as what should have happened? And with Dorgu, he's only 20. I don't want to put him down too much. I really do hope that he goes on to be, our starting left wing back. But currently, I don't think he's got it in him, unfortunately. I think he could be a good squad player. But at 20, you don't want to write a player off. He's got a lot of attributes that are there to like. But he's not currently the answer. And the last thing I want to be doing is signing a midfielder and then a year later saying, we need a midfielder. We probably need to move that player on. Do you know what I mean? So a lot of people are saying we need to sign Conor Gallagher. We have to sign Conor Gallagher. And as much as it looks like Manchester United are going to need to go for a midfielder, especially with Bruno Fernandes' injury, we don't know what's happening with Kobbie Mainoo. Let's sign a good midfielder. When we were absolutely desperate for a midfielder under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, we went and got Bruno Fernandes. That's the type of signing I would expect. Someone that I don't think anyone realised how important and how good Bruno Fernandes was going to be at the time. I think we all had big expectations, but people would argue he's going to have a massive Manchester United legacy. People would argue he's a legend. Some people would, some people wouldn't. But I expect that kind of quality coming in a transfer window. And I think it is possible to do it in January, but Manchester United don't have the best track record of buying, withstanding players that are going to withstand years upon years and be a mainstay in the first 11 and be good enough to compete in the first 11, be good enough for the standard to compete for Champions League, eventually go on to compete for the Premier League. Sometimes we sign stopgaps, we sign makeshifts in January, and if that is a permanent move, in the long run, it's just taking up wages in the squad and it takes up a position for a player that is good enough to come in. That would be my argument with that. So we've just got to sign the right profile. And Liverpool have done it before. They are experts at signing in January, and we'll get onto that when it comes to Semenyo. They've signed Luis Diaz in January, I think. They signed Gakpo in January. I think they even signed Van Dijk in January, if I'm not mistaken. They are very good at signing in January, so it is possible. But with Ruben Amorim's quote, people say, well, he's not got the urgency. Why is he not putting pressure on the board to go and spend in January? I have no doubt about it. If Ruben Amorim is the right guy for Manchester United and wants to keep his job, he will absolutely be having conversations behind the scenes with Sir Jim Ratcliffe, with Omar Barada, saying, go and get me Semenyo, go and get me a Baleba, if that's the player he wants. Again, I'd be team Anderson. I don't think Baleba actually would be the right move, to be honest, but it seems like it's Amorim's first choice. Go and get me players that are seriously going to improve this squad and can get me Champions League football this season. I don't think he's going to be behind the scenes massively pressurising for players that are going to be on the fringes. So I think it's important to note that Ruben Amorim will absolutely want players in that club and in that squad. I mean, you'd be crazy not to, but he's going to want quality. He's not going to want a player that in a year's time, they're not really in the starting 11, and to be honest, like, they're a squad player at best. That's what we don't want. So yes, we need to sign in January. I think it's obvious we need to sign in January. But I sit here and say, why are we constantly just accepting from the likes of, news outlets, from the club itself, oh, well, you can't go and make a big move in January. You can only really go and get a Conor Gallagher. You can only really go and get a loan deal. Why? Can you not buy big players in January? Is that not a thing? Can you not go and be dominant in the January transfer window? We are Manchester United and we are in desperate need of players. It is not unheard of for big names or big players or talent to move in January. It's more difficult because of the World Cup. It absolutely is. But that isn't challenging possible. Like, go and get the players that we need. We've signed Bruno Fernandes before in a January transfer window, a real quality player. He transformed our season. Go and do the same again. It's no use going out there and just getting someone who in a year's time is going to be sat on the bench. Go and get someone who's seriously going to improve our squad. And we need to be looking at doing so because, well, if we are going to, we need to know what's happening with Kobbie Mainoo. Is he part of this future? Is he not? Is he going to get game time? Is he going to be allowed to leave? With Bruno Fernandes being injured, I highly doubt he's going to be allowed to leave. Is he going to be getting a fair chance? Does Amorim see a future with him? And we need to know the status of some of these players that we've got, but we absolutely should be being ambitious. We absolutely should, because when it gets to Newcastle on Boxing Day, I'm going to be very interested to see who our midfield is. Who knows how long Bruno Fernandes is going to be out for? Is Kobbie Mainoo going to be called upon? Is he even going to be back fit himself? There's a lot of uncertainty in that Manchester United midfield. On top of that, praying he stays fit, but Mason Mount isn't exactly got the most reliable injury history, as much as I think he's a great player. So we need a midfielder, but go and be ambitious. Go and sign someone who is actually the right sort of profile to take us forward. That's what I would say on that, to be honest with you. But anyway, I mean, started off with a bit of a bang there, but we'll get into it. There's so much more news to come out. We've already got super chats coming in. Stuart F says, we need to sign midfielders in January. Would take Gallagher or still a Beth. You're looking great today. Have a great Christmas with your family. Stuart, what a lovely, lovely super chat. Thank you very much. I am so excited for Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. I really, really am. So thank you for that. And yeah, we need to sign a midfielder, but I'm going to be really honest. Gallagher wouldn't get me off my seat. I think he's a decent player, but didn't Kobbie Mainoo bench him in the Euros? Didn't he do that? We've got Kobbie Mainoo. Conor Gallagher will give you 110%. He's got the heart, he's got the fight, and I think he's a good, solid player. As a squad player, I would absolutely take him. I would absolutely take Conor Gallagher as a squad player. There's a player there. But I wouldn't take him as a nailed-on first 11 player, and that's the sort of players I think we should be going for. I know in January it's really, really difficult, but do we really need more squad players? And why would Conor Gallagher leave Atletico Madrid to come and be a squad player? He'll play, yeah, he'll play from January until the summer, he absolutely will. But in the summer when we go and buy two proper, well, I say proper midfielders, Gallagher is a proper midfielder, I don't want to be disrespectful, but in the summer when we go and buy two midfielders, he's not going to be starting every week for United after that. The reason he wants to leave Atletico Madrid is to be a starter. And you might say, well, it'll get him in line to potentially go to the World Cup. He just has to start from January till the summer for Thomas Tuchel to consider him. Maybe you take that risk. Maybe he just wants to come back to England. I don't know. But I don't see Conor Gallagher being a nailed-on starter this time next year if we do the right business. So it's an interesting one. I'd take him over nothing, I would, but I'd rather us be a little bit more ambitious, I'm going to be honest. Stiller I would absolutely take, but I think it's going to be difficult again in January, but why not be ambitious, like I just said, and go and do it? And well, at least try to do it. Haydar says, by the end of last season, for me, midfield was number one priority. Semenyo would be our fifth signing since then. If the manager felt the same way, we would have gotten someone by now, not attempted, gotten. I think that's really important. And we've not really attempted to get any midfielder apart from a little punt at Baleba at the end of the summer, but come on, it wasn't a full throttle. Let's go and get this player in. It really was. Oh, we went for a Gallagher loan at the end of the summer, but it was desperation. It was desperation, and I think a lot of it was just, let's look like we're going for a midfielder, and we knew we weren't going to get Baleba. Yeah, we put the groundwork in, but we've not fully gone full throttle on a midfielder since Amorim's come in. No, we've not. Emily Dyer says, all of our midfielders are linked with moves away in one way or another within the next few months. We probably need more than two midfielders. Not all will be box office players. Can't wait until the summer. Emily, you always put a brilliant super chat in, so thank you very much for that. Really do appreciate it. And I think you're right. Casemiro, very unlikely he's going to take a wage cut to stay and take on that Harry Maguire-esque role. If he would, I think that'd be great. I think he's got experience. I think he's a leader. Do I want him starting every week? No. But I think as a leader with experience and character in that dressing room, if he would take a wage cut, I'd absolutely just keep him on. Controversial, I don't know. But I don't think he will, and he's linked to a move away. Bruno Fernandes has been very unclear about if he's going to stay or leave Manchester United. I think if United get Champions League football, he'll stay. I think if Manchester United miss out on Champions League football, he'll go. So that's another one where I think his future is uncertain. There's been a lot of speculation over it at the moment. Ugarte's going to have to go. Like, let's be honest, Ugarte's going to have to go. He's had the 2 seasons that Omar Barad has spoken about, and he doesn't look anywhere near the player we thought we were getting, unfortunately. I do think his confidence is shot. I do think as a squad player, there is a player there, but I just think it's too far gone. I I think his confidence is so low now and there's so much scrutiny on him. I think it's going to be really difficult for him to come back from that. You look at, to be fair, I think Mason Mount will stay. Do you class him as a midfielder or a forward, though? He's kind of a hybrid of both, isn't he? Mason Mount will stay, and hopefully his injury record can continue to be pretty good, like it has been this season, after all of his injury concerns. Kobbie Mainoo, massive uncertainty on his future. Doesn't seem to see eye to eye with the manager. And, I mean, maybe not, that might be a bit harsh. The manager doesn't rate him. And let's be honest, he's not started a league game this season. The manager doesn't rate him, and he's a massive talent that should be playing week in, week out. So he is likely to go. I mean, is there anyone else? Our whole midfield is uncertain right now. So we do need a complete midfield revamp, and we should start in January, and we should be going with big, big targets. Even in January, right, if you can do one improvement, if you get a João Gomez in, João Gomez, for me, is like a Ugarte replacement. He's a better version of Ugarte. Ugarte might not go in January, but if you can get him shifted on a loan, that could work. He'll go in the summer. That's, if you can't go and get an Anderson, which is what I think Manchester United should be going to do. Man City are linked to Anderson. Go and get him before Man City can get him, because he would absolutely transform our team. He's the best midfielder we can get on the market for what we need, I believe. I genuinely believe that. That's my absolute top target. But if you can't do that, go and test Wolves' resolve with a João Gomez. Wolves are going down. They're going to get less money for João Gomez when they officially do get relegated. Go and test their resolve and make a slight improvement somewhere in the squad. He's Premier League proven. He's hungry. We've gone for him before. There's other things you can do for sure. You've got Haydar saying, I just don't believe Amorim or Ineos looks at that team and thinks we desperately need midfielders, which is why I don't rate them. I think Goldbridge made a really good point the other day. It's going to be 2 years since Ineos came into the football club on Christmas Eve. Do you remember when that announcement happened on Christmas Eve? Ineos and Sir Jim Ratcliffe were getting a percentage of Manchester United, and I've not been impressed. There's some things that they've done that I'm really impressed with. I think our recruitment has got a lot better. The investment into Carrington is what should be happening. I mean, I'm not going to clap a fish for swimming. That is exactly what Manchester United, the facilities Manchester United should have. The biggest club in England, one of the biggest clubs in the world. We should have the best facilities. And I think it's important that we do look at doing something about the stadium, but that's not progressed as much as I would have liked. And ultimately, we're in a results-based business. I understand Rome wasn't built in a day, but we're 2 years in, and on paper, United are doing worse. So yeah, it's one of them. We really need to see a shift in a positive direction pretty soon. Carlo Montana says, have an amazing family Christmas, Beth. Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone, for coming into the United Stand Members Club. Mario Rossi 355. We are a franchise to these owners, not a club. I mean, just kind of moving on to Semenyo then, because we've talked about the midfielders a little bit. Just actually, I'll come in with the Baleba stuff while speaking about the midfielders. So this is what came out from Sky on Baleba. Brighton are intent on keeping Carlos Baleba until the summer at least, and only a huge offer would cause a rethink in January. They are expected to look at signing a long-term successor to Baleba as part of their January transfer plans. Well, if they get the Baleba successor in January, you could test Brighton's resolve. You absolutely could test Brighton's resolve, and I think if your offer was good enough, they'd let him go. He's not doing very well this season. Do they risk it till the summer for his price to go down even further? I think if Man United are absolutely certain and they're absolutely sold that Baleba is the guy, you could test their resolve in January. Would I do it? No, because I think it's a one-horse race. There's rumours Bayern Munich could come in for him, but I doubt it if his form carries on. I think it's a one-horse race for Baleba, so you might be overpaying. But if you truly believe he is the right guy and he's going to transform this midfield, why wait until the summer? If Brighton have got a successor lined up and you are fully in on Baleba, and despite people being really concerned about his form this season, you believe he's the right one, why not go for him now when we've got issues in the midfield? I think Brighton could let him go if you put in a decent enough offer in January. So let's see what happens with that. To be honest with you though, I'd be really worried if we sign Baleba. I think there is absolutely a brilliant talent in that player. I really do, but I'd be concerned whether he can perform on a consistent level at the age he is, and I'd be concerned if this move is a little bit too soon for him. I absolutely think in the future Baleba will be at the level where he could play for United, Chelsea, a Liverpool, a City. I mean, we didn't see a different player last season. He was fantastic. But I think at the age he is and where his mentality's at, if he gets that move a little bit too soon, it could really damage his development. So, yeah, it's an interesting one and to see what happens with that. Just on Semenyo, by the way, I would 1,000,000% go for Semenyo. And I know people will say, we need a midfielder, we need a midfielder. We absolutely need a midfielder. We need a midfielder, we need a centre-back, we need wing-backs. I think we'll wait for a centre-back and wing-backs in the summer. But I think Semenyo's too good of an opportunity to pass up on. We don't have that kind of player. We don't have a versatile winger that can play on both wings, left and right footed, can do it all, has got that pace on the left running behind. And Bruno and Ahmad can play on the left, but predominantly on the right. Semenyo gives you that balance because you can play him off the left, you can play him down the middle. And I know a lot of people are thinking, oh, he'd play at left wing back. I really doubt he'd play at left wing back, guys. I think if Semenyo comes in, you would have a situation where Cunha plays as the Firmino type figure in a 3 across the front line, which sort of emulates the Salah, Mane and Firmino model. I'm not saying they're going to be Salah, Mane and Firmino. I'm not saying that. But I'd see Mbeumo taking on that Salah role. I'd see Cunha taking on that Firmino role. And I'd see Semenyo taking on the Mane role. That's how I'd see it playing out if we went and got Semenyo, and it really excites me. His finishing on both feet is fantastic. I think we need that sort of dynamism in the squad, in the team, and I'd love to see us go and get him. And more importantly, I don't want to see Liverpool get him. I don't want to see City get him. I don't want to see Arsenal get him. I think he's already turned Spurs down, which I find quite funny, to be honest with you. But I would go for him. He's Premier League proven. Is it that age bracket we want? Got that Premier League experience. He'd fit straight in. There'd be no adaptation period. He's on form. He'd come in January and could continue that form that he started at the start of the season. He works really hard, and he's come up. He's had one of them journeys where he's got hustle, he's got ambition, he's got grit. I think he's come up through multiple tiers of English football, if I'm not mistaken. And his story is actually really inspiring. It shows why you shouldn't write off young players, to be honest with you. So I would love to bring him in. But this is the latest on Semenyo. So, by the way, I think if we get Semenyo, Zirkzee absolutely goes. I think if we don't get Semenyo, we'd have to keep Zirkzee. That's how I think it'll play out. So this is the latest on Semenyo. So I think Terry spoke about it on the morning show, the Ornstein update and the Ben Jacobs update. Ben Jacobs has been saying it for quite a long time now. It's mainly between City and United currently in the race to try and get Semenyo. However, this is what was said on Sky Sports from Kavi, who usually has quite good insight. I think this was very opinion-based, but this opinion will be coming from somewhere, and he will be speaking to people in and around the clubs. He really does have some good insight, Kavi. So this is what I wanted to bring, what he said, which I saw on Sky Sports about an hour ago, I would say. He said, my take on Semenyo is, if Liverpool come in for him, he will go to Liverpool. Liverpool have been big admirers of Semenyo, and they have looked at signing him before. They have got a track record of signing players in January. Luis Diaz looked like he was going to Spurs. At the last minute, Liverpool came in for him. Cody Gakpo, Man United were trying to sign him, and Liverpool came in for him. I remember that. That was on Boxing Day. I was gutted. Liverpool never get involved in a bidding war. They wait until the last minute when other clubs have almost done a deal for a player, and then at the last minute they make a phone call. They know more often than not a player will choose to go to Liverpool. Liverpool were expecting to have a quiet January. There is money to spend, and sometimes they move quickly to get a summer target in early, especially if they think they could go somewhere else. Over the next few days, especially in light of Isak's injury, Liverpool will be having discussions at the highest level to figure out if they'll make a late move for Antoine Semenyo. So that, to me, worries me. It worries me. I could see that happening. I could see City and United doing all the kind of dirty work with Semenyo, and I know he's got a release clause, so there isn't going to be a bidding war there. But what you've got to do really is you've got to put a package together that the player is going to want to join your project. You've got to put a good contractual package together, and also you've got to sell your project and your vision. So it's not as if there'll be a bidding war between Man City and Man United, because it's realistically who can sell the project better, Man City or Man United. United have a bit of a job on their hands. There's only so long United can use. If you're part of the team that brings Man United back to the top, look at what it'll do for you. You'll go down in history, one of the biggest clubs in the world, the biggest club in England. Look, I would absolutely walk into that. You've sold me the dream. I'm a United fan. I have red tinted glasses. If United come and knocked on my door as a player, I'd be straight there. I would absolutely be straight there. But Semenyo isn't a United fan. I'm pretty sure he is a Chelsea fan. He's either a Chelsea fan or an Arsenal fan. I saw it on X the other day. He's either a Chelsea fan or an Arsenal fan. Whatever. He's not a United fan. So, as much as United have done background work on Semenyo, Amorim's been out to dinner with him. We wanted him in the summer. We've spoken to his camp before. We're gonna go in with the project of, we want you to help us get us Champions League football. That's the ambition. You come in January, we kick on to go and get Champions League football. Next summer, this is our project. And this is how we're taking Manchester United back to the top of the Premier League. And we want you to be involved. And you could go down in history as part of the team that's brought Manchester United back to the top of English football. How does that sound? Oh, and we'll give you quite a good wage as well. That'd be Man United's sell, I think, to Antoine Semenyo. And Ruben Amorim will... Look, the good thing is we have the best salesman in all of football in Ruben Amorim. That guy can talk. He could talk you into anything, genuinely talk you into anything. Anytime I think, oh, I'm kind of doubting Amorim as a manager, press conference comes on, I'm sold again. He's a great talker. So we've got a good sales picture in Ruben Amorim, who's also going to talk to Semenyo. But Semenyo's going to have a lot of good pitches. Pep Guardiola, it's City. He's going to be working under one of the best coaches of our lifetime. Unfortunately, that is the case. City look like, I think they'll win the Prem, to be honest with you. Look like they're really kind of getting into that rhythm where they're going to be hard to beat now. And I think Arsenal will feel that pressure. And I don't know if they'll capitulate, but I think they'll stumble. I think they will stumble, and I think City will capitalise on it. So he could actually win a Premier League. They're all things that you're competing with. And City will be able to give him a fantastic wage as well. They've already got Champions League to offer him. The only difference is United is an absolutely massive club. And no disrespect to City, they're not. And there's rumours Pep might leave at the end of the season. They've been looking around at Enzo Maresca. How will that affect their project? But Pep's basically building a new team for that next manager right now. So it'll be difficult. But Liverpool do worry me. Because not only are they also in the Champions League already, so you don't have to say, we'll get back into the Champions League. They're in the Champions League. They have got a spot wide open for him when Salah does go, and I think he will leave in the summer. And they are also a massive club. I think United are a bigger club, but Liverpool are also a massive club, and they've got that history, they've got that background, and they get business done. They get business done. So Liverpool worry me, especially with Isak's injury, and I think if they see him going to United, they'll start sniffing around, and they could come in for him, and they could make that decision with Isak's injury, and they think, look, we wanted you to replace Salah in the summer, but we're just going to go for you now. We're going to get you in now. Isak's injured. You're still going to get game time. Then in the summer, you will be taking that spot for us. So, I mean, it'll be very versatile. He can play on both sides. So Liverpool do worry me. I would go all in for Semenyo, though, and I would try and do the best sales pitch I possibly could, because I think he would be a brilliant signing. I think he would complement the other players we've got. I think there's room for that sort of player profile in our squad, and he's an example of going and getting a starter in January, going and getting a signing that you've not got any doubts that in a year's time he's going to be in and around the starting 11, and he's good enough to compete for the top level. So, yes, Semenyo for me is one I would absolutely go for. Let me know, what do you think will happen with that one? We've got Ronnie Dodge saying, happy Lacey got his debut. Imagine if that went in. Oh, I would have loved it. And that's the thing, like, Lacey looked like he was hungry. Imagine if that goal went in, and that never would have happened if we didn't have injuries. Why can't Amorim just sometimes, take a few more risks, be a bit less stubborn. Haydar says, I do not mind losing out on Semenyo personally. Even if we don't sign anyone in Jan, I'd rather fix any other positions in the team. Richard Whitting says, can you give my mate... Is that a bad word? Or is it not? Damon Pimplot. Is that a bad word? No. Are you tricking me? Sometimes people trick me with names. But anyway, I'm giving your mate a shout out. He loves you and your work. Thank you very much. He'll be watching from Dubai. Thank you, Damon, watching from Dubai. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being a fan of our work. And yeah, big shout out for you for your birthday. Happy birthday and have a good Christmas as well. Joseph Rosa says, no amount of signings fixes this club. It needs a full mentality reset. I want to trust the scouts, but honestly, I don't see what they see in Baleba. Joseph, I completely agree with you on that. On the mentality reset and the Baleba situation. Brandon Shetty sent a United Stand membership. Thank you very, very much. Emily Derry says, Baleba in January is a bigger risk than the summer. If this poor form continues, you have a very expensive player with a shot mentality. Emily, I think that's a great point. Ian Tracy says, I would take João Gomez in Jan as the midfield needs a complete overhaul and we would still need 2 more in the summer. Have a great Christmas, Beth. I think João Gomez would probably be the most realistic option in January, and I think this time next year he could still be in and around the starting 11 for Man United. I think he's got that capability in him. Just on Emily Derry's point about Baleba again, I wouldn't get him. I wouldn't get him. I think it's a huge risk, like you said, but United seem very sold on him. It keeps coming out from Romano, it keeps coming out from Ben Jacobs. Unless it's Baleba's side that I can't sort of brief in and very much pushing this move, which we know can happen. I don't know, it seems like United are all in on it, but it might be the player trying to push that. Keep getting your comments in though, guys. Really do appreciate all the interaction on today's afternoon show. I want to talk, I mean, we usually do 30 minutes for a 2 p.m, but I've got so much more to say, so I'm going to keep going. It's my last show before Christmas. What's Goldbridge going to do? Watch him text me now saying, get off air, Beth, it's a 30-minute show. But no, I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep going because I want to talk a little bit. Oh, just on the back of the Semenyo stuff, this is the update on Joshua Zirkzee. And like I said, I think if we get Semenyo, because Semenyo's release clause is active until, I'm pretty sure the 10th of January, but can someone just check that for me? Is Semenyo's release clause active till the 10th of January? I think it is. It is. So if we get Semenyo, it'd have to be quite soon, at the beginning of January. I think if we get him, we'll then allow Zirkzee to go to Roma. It looks like there's a deal basically in place. So it's coming out from Italian sources that a deal worth €40 million is on Manchester United's table for Joshua Zirkzee. Roma have put forward an initial loan fee worth €5 million and an option to buy of €30 million. Bonuses of €5 million will be handed to Amorim's side if Roma qualify for the Champions League. This offer is close to United's demands, which is €50 million. Roma now want to reach a compromise on these terms as soon as possible. I think United are dreaming if they think they're going to get €50 million right now for Joshua Zirkzee. But I believe this, to be honest with you. Roma are absolutely interested in Zirkzee. They absolutely want him. Zirkzee ideally would like to stay at United, but he wants game time. And he knows the Italian league. It suits his attributes. I honestly think 30 million buy option with a loan fee of €5 million is not the end of the world for Manchester United, considering how little game time Joshua Zirkzee's had. And it doesn't feel he's made too much an impact at Manchester United since he got here, which is unfortunate because I think he's got attributes. I think his close control is excellent. And I think he's a bit of a baller. Don't know if he's suited to the Premier League, to be honest. I think he absolutely would be more suited to Serie A. That kind of style of play and the rhythm of and the pace of their football. Still a really, really good league, but it's just a little bit different to the Prem. I think in the Prem, you have to be a lot quicker in the way that you do things and you need that physicality, and sometimes Zirkzee kind of gets lost in that. So I do think that offer's there. I do think Man United will take it if we manage to get Semenyo, because we'll still want to keep options in, especially with AFCON and especially with, injuries that we've had. We want to keep options there. Sesko hasn't 100% settled in yet. So if we get Semenyo, I think we'll sell him. But if not, or a loan option to buy, if not, I think he'll stay. Right, I just want to talk about Bruno for the last bit of the show. And just quickly as well, a big reminder, there'll be shows up until Christmas Day, and then we have our Christmas Day special of the best bits throughout the year. But Boxing Day, Manchester United versus Newcastle, countdown to kick-off. It starts at 6 p.m. from the studio. We'll be going to the game. We're still doing all the usual match day stuff, so make sure you stay tuned for that on Boxing Day. And yeah, the last bit I wanted to talk about really was Bruno Fernandes. So I was doing a bit of research on Bruno Fernandes. As you all know, if you watch the shows, I'm a big Bruno Fernandes fan, and I think we are going to struggle without him in the team. I think people are going to realise now, over the next few weeks, if he's not playing, if he doesn't miraculously recover like he has done in the past, I think they'll realise how much we do miss him. We do miss his spark. We do miss his leadership. We do miss him as a player in our team. But I was kind of looking at it. So Bruno Fernandes has only missed 2 club games through injury in his entire senior career. 2 club games through injury in his entire senior career. He's missed other games through illness. He's missed other games through yellow card and suspensions. But this is past United. Through his whole senior career as a professional football player, he has missed 2 club games through injury. Do you know how crazy that is at the age of 31? It is literally like he is a robot. That is insane. He felt untouchable, he felt unbreakable, and I think we've maybe always took that aspect of his game for granted. We have heard that he's played through injury at times for Manchester United. That'll be probably minor injury because you can't play full substantial injury. But now we're in this weird situation where Bruno Fernandes, who is never injured, he's got a soft tissue injury, which is really kind of strange that he's got that at this point in his career after being unbreakable for so long. And this is the thing, Bruno Fernandes played the most minutes out of any footballer in the world for 3 years straight. 3 years straight. No injuries. No injuries. 1 game a week, and suddenly there's a soft tissue injury that could keep him out for at least a month, if not more. So I look at it and I think Bruno's body is used to playing 2 games a week in that number 10 position. Now he is playing 1 game a week as a midfielder in every single area of the pitch, running all over the shop, and it involves a lot of quick sprints, back and forth, a lot of you're still, and then next thing you know, you're 100 miles an hour because you're racing back, you're racing forward to press. There's a lot there. Don't get me wrong, he's always put so much energy and he's always given absolutely everything on the football pitch. But I'm thinking now, is that break between the 1 game every week and then that 1 game at 31 years old being very intense, big acceleration, back and forth, maybe like it's new to his body. It's new to his body. Is his body just used to game? And now he's having a situation where game, full week, very, very intense, back and forth, full acceleration, another week. And then the same thing happening over and over again. Is it just aging and his body catching up with him because he's played so many minutes over the years? I don't know. I mean, Tim Sherwood made a point, and it's very, very, very rare that I agree with Tim Sherwood, I'll tell you that. But he made a point on Sky Sports, and I thought it was an interesting one. Is he being undertrained? Is his body used to like high levels intensity over and over again? So in the week, he kind of needs to keep that up because he's always kind of played them midweek fixtures. I don't know, but it worries me a little bit. It does worry me a little bit because it is very, very strange that Bruno is never injured and now he's got this soft tissue injury and it's at this point in his career when he's playing 1 game a week. And he is playing a different position. Does that have an effect on him? Let me know your thoughts on it. But if I'm the fitness department and a Manchester United, I'm looking into that a little bit because I do find it a bit strange and a little bit worrying. What I also will say is, again, I'm only saying this because it's my opinion. I had a conversation about it with my dad actually last night, and he sort of was like going in on it a little bit. And why was he allowed to play on till half time? He was holding his hamstring. anybody knows, and I'm not a physio, but anybody knows that if you have a tear in your hamstring or you pull your hamstring, you have to get off the pitch. Any more that you do on it can increase that tear, it can increase that pull, and you can really, really damage it and keep yourself out for longer. Straight away when he's holding his hamstring, there should be a medical team coming to assess him on the pitch and he should be going off. Even if it's close to half time, they might be thinking, oh, he might be able to get through to half time. Can he run it off? It's a hamstring injury. He was holding his hamstring a couple of weeks ago as well. They are so... You've got to be so cautious with them. You really do, because any more that you run on it, you can do a significant more amount of damage on it. You've got to take care of that straight away as soon as you feel something. So it felt as if Bruno was like, oh, let me just play on, because this is what he's like. He's a captain, he's a leader, he's played for India before. Let me see if I can get through to half time. Let's see if I can run it off. But that's where the manager and the fitness department should take over, put the foot down and say, Bruno, you've got a hamstring injury, get off. We need you back fit and available as soon as possible. So that to me felt like a little bit of a letdown from the fitness department on that aspect. I mean, it wasn't the only thing I saw that weekend which shocked me. I mean, it turns out Alexander Isak's broke his leg, right? He's there walking off the pitch. I don't know. But yeah, with Bruno, I'm gutted that he kind of played on to half time, because we won't know how much more damage that did, but with a hamstring it can do more damage. But anyway, just a couple more things that I wanted to bring in. I saw a really good point on X before as well from FPL Fraser, and he said this: Leacher played as a DM and was perfectly fine. Fletcher played in midfield and was fine. Sad part is Amorim wouldn't have tried these unless absolutely forced to play them there. He's extremely risk adverse, and when it comes to these things, in his mind, Leacher is a centre-back, Ugarte is a senior midfielder. Amorim would keep playing with that in mind, and he's way too risk adverse. I think it's a good point. Fletcher looked fine. Shea Lacey looked exciting. I know it was only a small portion of the game. And Leacher, I mean, I talked about it last night on the fans forum. Leacher for CDM. He was fantastic. I'd have to see more of it, but he was fantastic in that position. He's exactly what I'd want from a central defensive midfielder. He was aggressive. He was on the front foot. His passing through the lines was fantastic. He was brilliant. He was absolutely brilliant. And I'd like to see him there more often. And it feels like Amorim will only take any sort of risk unless absolutely forced to do so. And as a United manager, you've got to be able to take a risk. You've got to be able to take a punt. The greatest ever manager of all time, and our greatest manager of all time, Sir Alex Ferguson, would do so. And he won games by doing it. It didn't always work out, but he'd always take a risk. He'd always, look to the youth and see what he could do with it. A lot of brilliant managers do it. A lot do. I'm not asking him to, start playing Euro right wing or anything daft like that, but I'd like him to take a few more risks. I'd like him to solve some more problems by looking within the squad and playing to play his best attributes. And, maybe giving the youth a little bit of a chance. Villa Park away is a very, very tough game. Fletcher took it in his stride. Lacey took it in his stride. I'm not saying start them every single week for 90 minutes. No, don't do that. But give them a bit of opportunity. And I think it's important we do so. There's a fine line. I think Euro and Heaven are maybe being too exposed. I thought Heaven did really well, by the way, yesterday. Euro had another difficult game, but he's a young player. I don't really want to go too much into it. But I think Euro's probably been overexposed. Lacey and Fletcher and co maybe haven't been given enough. There's a fine line between the two. You've got to nurture players in, you've got to develop them in. I think the way that Pep Guardiola brought through Phil Foden was absolutely perfect. Maybe a little bit too restrictive sometimes. Don't get me wrong, not every player is Phil Foden. He's a world-class talent. But he would give him like 10 minutes, 10 minutes, 10 minutes, 10 minutes. And it took him so long to be able to earn a start, but he'd get glimpses. And I get it's easier to bring a player into a fully functioning team, but I'd like Amorim to do that a little bit more, to be honest with you. I would. What I will say is I do think United need a centre-back as well. I know we've talked about midfield, I know we've talked about a forward, but Gary Neville said this after the game. I think it was a very good performance, but the details were on the too cold But the details are on the 2 goals that cost them dearly. This will continue to happen as long as they don't have players like Harry Maguire and Matthijs de Ligt. Yeah, Maguire and de Ligt are our only 2 senior centre-backs that are realistically reliable. And Maguire's been very, very injury prone. And de Ligt, he's going through this injury now, and it's a big gap in our team. Luke Shaw is a good senior centre-back as well. I kind of forgot about Luke Shaw then, and thank God he's been able to keep up his fitness, considering his track record. But we need more depth at centre-back. Yoro is for the future. Heaven is for the future. I think Martinez is not yet back at his best. He's just getting his fitness back up. He's not exactly a reliable week in, week out player because you were so worried about him getting injured. Mazraoui's at AFCON, and he's sort of a versatile type centre-back. Luke Shaw is a very good senior player, but he's even a versatile type centre-back. The 2 out-and-out centre-backs in the team that are experienced and reliable, Maguire and de Ligt. Maguire might be going, and he's been injured a lot over the last few years. And de Ligt, unfortunately, he's got this injury now. We need a centre-back really, really badly. So I think that's an area that we're going to have to target in the summer as well. We need a lot, but this is where we're at. See what we'll do in January. We're not going to get a centre-back in January. I doubt we will. But it's one to watch in the upcoming summer for sure. But look, everyone, I'm going to go now because I've been going on for way too long. But thank you, everybody, for getting involved in the show. Daniel Thompson has said, hope you're well. Beth in the United stand. Great show as always. Semenyo would be brilliant for Man United. And 2 midfielders, a must for Jan. Hope you and your family have a wonderful Christmas. Thank you very much, Daniel. Chris Jackson says, only game Boxing Day. Let's put pressure on those around us. We should get Semenyo first in Jan, then spend summer budget early on midfield. Merry Christmas. Ronnie Dodge says, happy Lacey got his debut. Imagine if that went in. Yep, I've done that one. Thank you very much. Look, everyone, thank you so much for getting involved in the show. My last show before Christmas, so I want to wish everybody a very, very, very Merry Christmas, whatever you're doing. Enjoy it with your family, your loved ones, and yeah, thank you so much for everything this year. I'm not going to say Happy New Year yet because we've got Boxing Day. We've also got another game in between that, so we're not towards the end of 2025 yet. But have a lovely Christmas. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you on the next one.